Hey y'all, welcome back. Alrighty, video 4. This is really a critical video in the series, and this is where we're going to talk specifically about the skill of really taking back control of your mind and your body and banishing anxiety by summoning relaxation. So let's just jump right into it. So we've already talked about the skill of noticing, but just to return to this for a second, hopefully now you are learning what stress and anxiety feel like. You're becoming, very aware of that feeling, and you're developing the skill of checking in with your mind and body to see if you're feeling stressed. All right. And so again, if we kind of go to that analogy of the child learning not to wet the bed, they are starting to realize, oh, there is this feeling. Yeah, I can feel it, and I know when it's there. So that's the first step, right? After a while, this is just like that child. It's going to become more natural. That feeling will just come up, and you will notice it more regularly. You'll automatically feel it, recognize it for what it is. And that is what's going to put you in a position to now do something about it. So let's say you notice you're feeling stressed right now. What do you do? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. So in this NRL, which by the way, I've been trying to come up with a good way of saying this that sounded cool. The best I can do is like, how skateboarders talk about being gnarly. Well, maybe we can talk about a gnarly cop as a cop that notices, relaxes, and listens. A little silly analogy to throw in there. So in the gnarly framework, we're now going to focus on this second step. Okay, excellent. So just to remind you, that got in there a little early, so let me just jump right there. A natural thing for many of us to do when we're feeling anxious and stressed is to focus on that anxiety and say, stop feeling anxious, stop feeling anxious, stop feeling anxious. But when you do that, you actually strengthen the anxiety. Those are anxious thoughts. I don't want to be anxious right now. I want the anxiety to go away, blah, blah, blah. Those are anxious thoughts. The amygdala senses them and goes, oh, there must be danger around, and makes you more anxious. And so you get that negative feedback loop happening. And so that is not the approach. That is not what you want to do. Instead, remember this little notion of the two sides of the coin when it came to our peripheral nervous system. I told you that you could either be in a relaxed state or you could be in an anxious state. And when the amygdala, does its thing, it pushes us from relaxation to anxious. But if we want to escape this anxious state, we do not focus on the anxiety, but instead we push ourselves into a relaxed state. If we can activate this relaxation part of things, of the parasympathetic mode, if we can strengthen that mode, it is like the flip side of the coin. And simply by strengthening relaxation, you automatically banish the anxiety. And so that's going to be the real key. When you now realize I'm feeling anxious, then what you want to do is say, okay, let me put my body and mind into a relaxed state. Sounds easy. It's not. We all kind of know how to relax, but we know how to relax in a very informal way where we just kind of put our feet up and maybe put some nice music on or whatever. There's a much more formal approach, much more, dare I say, Jedi-like approach that we want to talk about, which is formally learning the skill of using your mind to put your body in a relaxed state. And then we get the feedback loop working for us, because if our body is in a relaxed state, that tells the amygdala everything's fine, and it calms the amygdala. And so, by actually putting our body into a relaxed state, we can put our total selves into a much more relaxed kind of position. Now, how much you want to do that depends on the context, right? You don't always want to be totally relaxed. Remember that line, right? That walking the line. But you can do this to the extent that you feel like your anxieties are starting to take control. And if you don't want them to, this is an approach you can use to push it back. Okay, what is this skill then? How does it work? Formally learning how to relax. Well, Once again, almost like I was telling you about anxiety, the first step is really becoming intimately familiar with what, in this case, relaxation feels like. So you've been spending time learning what anxiety feels like and how to identify when you're anxious. But now when we want to change from that state to a relaxed state, we have to really know how that feels like. What is the goal? Where are we going? It's almost like we have a teleporter from Star Trek, but it will only take us to places that we know well. If we don't know that place well, it won't get us there. And so we have to get to know relaxation. Now, how do we do that? I have included with this course a so-called guided relaxation induction. It's just me talking to you. I'll give you more information in just a moment. But let me also say there are plenty of these available online. So if for any reason the one I've included does not work for you, or you want to just sample some other, you're getting bored of hearing my voice in your ear, you can go ahead and look for others. There's a lot available online. The idea of these guided relaxations is almost like described. It's like a guide takes you by the hand and brings you to that state we'll call relaxation. And this is the way you have to get there at first to help you get there. Now, how does it work? There's nothing voodoo here. There's nothing fancy going on. Oh, and I always have to be careful when I use that word voodoo because I use it with the greatest respect. I know it is a person's religion. I don't mean to just throw that out there. But what I do mean by that is this is a very sensical process. And here's how it works. I'll give you a taste of my guided relaxation induction. I would say something like the following. Lay down, relax as comfortably as you can. And now, starting with your feet, I want you to clench your feet like a fist. Clench your feet and clench those muscles really, really hard, to the point where they're almost hurting, but then clench them harder still and make them hurt. See how much pain you can actually bear. Keep that hurt. And then at some point, usually I will tell you in the guided relaxation, we will say, okay, let go of that. Let go of that tension. Release it. Feel that tension as it leaves your body. Here's the mindfulness part. Feel that tension leaving your body and feel the relaxation that is left in its wake. Now your feet are really relaxed. And now we're going to move up and we're going to do it with your calf muscles. We tighten them, and hold them for a while. And then we relax them, and then we do them to your thigh muscles, etc. And so we move up your entire body, getting you to tighten muscle groups really hard for a while, but then to just relax them and let them go. And, after about 5 or 10 minutes of being walked through this, you will almost feel like you've had a massage. You'll be laying there and it'll be like your whole body feels totally relaxed. And this is where we want you to really, really pay attention to that feeling. Learn that feeling. Become mindfulness of that feeling, of your body and your mind being extremely relaxed. And I will also recommend that you associate a word with that feeling, your so-called trigger word. Mine tends to be beach when I do that. And so, I just associate that feeling with the word beach. That's going to become powerful because I'll be able to use that word to induce that feeling later. And so just feel it and connect it with the word and feel that feeling of relaxation. This is a great thing to do just before you go to bed, by the way, to get your body and mind relaxed. And so, kind of go through one of these inductions, then roll over, go to sleep, and you'll probably sleep very well. Eventually, so in the early steps of this, you will probably want to keep coming back to those guided relaxation audios and keep, kind of being brought to that state. But eventually you'll be able to get there on your own. And so that's one of the things you want to start doing is at some point saying, I'm not going to listen to that guy anymore. I'm just going to lay down and I am just going to do this. And then eventually you'll find that you can get there without all the muscle tensing and relaxing. You will get to know that feeling so well, you'll be able to just lay down and put it all over your body and kind of make it feel, like you have gone through that whole process. And eventually, as you keep practicing this skill, you will be able to call it up and really combine it with that anxiety sensing skill. So that's where we want to get to, right? Where it's a point where you're feeling anxious And so you say, okay, now let me push relaxation and kind of push it back. Remember that old thing we used to say, count to 10 when you're angry. Before you say anything, count to 10. That was just sort of a time passing. This is kind of the same idea, but I'm asking you to do something in those 10 seconds, which is specifically think about that relaxed state. Use that word, beach, beach, beach. Put yourself into a relaxed state. Get your body where it needs to be before you start doing your interactions in that situation. And that's where we want to get to. But again, in order to be able to, just sort of summon relaxation like that, you have to go through these practice steps. But it's something, you can do and quite enjoy. And so, in fact, this is my homework for you for this video. Try the file I've given you. And I suggest here, maybe even share it with your family or significant others. Everybody's kind of stressed at this time. This can help absolutely anybody. As you start to get good at this, so maybe before you go to bed, you listen to this on a regular basis, and as you start to feel like, I know this state, I know what relaxation feels like, then once again, let's go back to setting some of those random notifications so that your phone bings at you every now and then, and you say, oh, okay, right now, right here and now, I am going to try to summon relaxation. See if you can do it. Over time, you're going to get there. You might just find like, I can sort of do it at first. That just says you got to spend a little bit more time practicing with the guided tape, and maybe just laying down, in a quieter place and doing it yourself. But over time, you will get to a point when you can just do this when the notification comes in. And by the way, you might as well notice every time, while you're doing this, and do the check-in first. Well, am I feeling stressed right now? Let me try to induce relaxation. And certainly, forget the notifications for a side. If you're noticing the skill is getting better, then certainly every time you notice that you're feeling stressed, try this approach. We want these two things to eventually just go together. So you'll note stress and you'll summon relaxation, and that's how you're going to regain control. So as you start to notice stress, just do that. Just start practicing that process. Okay, getting there. We have one more step, and then our whole gnarly approach will be complete. So I will see you on that next video, and until then, keep practicing. Alrighty.